Hello and welcome everyone to this CJV webinar. Uh, Today I'm honored to introduce our very special guests, Ilana O'Malley and Ruthie Bashan. Uh, Ilana is the co-founder of Planetherapy and Ruthie is the new U.S. chapter director. Today we are going to discuss Planetherapy, which is an organization providing free mental health support to Jews and Israelis worldwide. Our guests are the co-founder and the U.S. chapter director. They're joining us to speak with CJV rabbis and supporters about mental health challenges facing the Jewish community post October 7th and share what Planetherapy is doing to help. First, I would like to point out that I was introduced to this organization at the Israeli American Conference, and I thought it was one of the most amazing ideas I've ever heard in my life. I met over 250 people at the conference. There was over 4,000 people, and by far this was the most interesting thing that I ran across. And to prove what an amazing organization it is, I have a family member in Australia who actually have been using their services, which is kind of crazy. So we'll start with Ilana. She's specializes in addiction recovery and rehabilitation and is dedicated to guiding individuals on their journey to healing and holistic well-being. She brings a deep understanding of the connection between the mind, body, and the soul. Ilana's mission extends beyond her professional role as she actively engages in humanitarian work, emphasizing the importance of accessible mental health support on a global scale. Ruthie Bashan has a MSW, LCSW, MA-AT, which is Masters of Art Therapy, recently joined Planetherapy as the U.S. chapter director, where she's leading efforts to expand access to trauma-informed emotional support across Jewish communities in the United States. A licensed clinical social worker and art therapist, Ruthie brings over 20 years of experience in trauma-informed care, community resilience, and Jewish communal leadership. Her work focuses on translating clinical insight into scalable, community-based responses to crisis, particularly in the context of rising anti-Semitism and ongoing collective trauma. Ruthie previously served as Director of Special Services at the Kaplan JCC in the Palisades and is an adjunct professor at Montclair State University. She has a design and LED programs for professionals, students, community leaders with a focus on resilience, identity, and practical tools for navigating periods of instability. It's a pretty amazing resume, if you ask me. While you're listening to the discussion that they're going to have between each other, you could go ahead and start putting your questions into the chat box. You don't need to wait for the question and answer period to start asking your questions. We'll be keeping track of your questions so that we can answer some of them at the end of the webinar during your question and answer period. Because our time is limited, we may not be able to get to every question, but we'll try and copy them and get responses, and I will email them to you. We're planning to end this webinar promptly at 3 p.m. But if we run a few minutes over and you need to leave, that's okay. With that, I'm very pleased to begin this conversation and discussion.
Okay, so thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. And let me just set us up with the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, we have this, and I do want to do that one. I'm always saying to my clients since COVID that every time that we do something on Zoom, it's like we have another client in the session that not necessarily like a well-behaved one also. So let's see what we are doing here. Okay. I do want to be able to share where I am. Okay. I'm going to do that. And Second. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so thank you so much and good afternoon. I think that there also good evening. Ilana is in Spain. I'm in New Jersey. Um, so we just want to thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about the organization and talking about how we can help in strengthening Jewish communities in responding to the anti-Semitism and also to the ongoing conflicts in Israel and honestly around the world with clarity, leadership, and support. Um, just to give the framework, we are a global online resilience support network, a professional volunteer-based global non-for-profit, and we're here to provide emotional support to Israelis and Jewish across the world, in Israel and in the diaspora affected by war, anti-Semitism, and anything related to that people experience. And really a quick, so Mark did a beautiful job. So this is Ilana, this is me, and let's move. So what we are seeing across the globe is sharp increase in depression and anxiety. This goes worldwide. Um, we see that nearly 80% of Jews reporting feeling less safe since October 7. This is according to the ADL. We know that being Jewish become way more visible and more vulnerable. This is on personal level. People considered how to thinking twice before they live in their house wearing Jewish symbols. Sometimes we don't have this choice whether or not to hide our Judaism. And but it's become something that is very constantly on our mind. There is a growing sense of exposure across daily life. Once we are leaving our home, our community, we are no longer since October 7th. So it seems just a person going in the street. We become the face of a nation, a face of the people, and we are receiving a lot of the feedback, good or bad. Unfortunately, a lot of this is negative feedback because of who we are and our identity. I want to recognize that leader and lay leaders carrying more weight than others because we all living in the same with the same stressors, we all dealing with the same difficulties, but at the same times we also need to care for our community members. So we are both dealing with the stress, the fear, the depression, but we also need to support people who are going through that, who are looking up to us. And in this reality, our leaders and you are living in the last 2.5 years. And before we are moving forward, I do want to ask you, where those statistics, where they meet you? What do you experience in your communities? What do you experience for yourself in terms of the global crisis in emotional distress? How do you feel being in the front of your communities and the world um, as leaders in your communities? Feel free to unmute yourself or to respond in the chat.
Yeah, they can't unmute, but they can in the chat.
Okay.
Actually, while we wait, I was going to ask if you could expand the slides because right now it has the slides in like a small, I think that's the speakers, your own window is controlling it.
I
And you see
absolutely
your
can do
yeah.
that. Let me see. You know what? I will do that. I will do stop share for a second
Uh
and I will expand it. No, I will. Um,
Because it was a big picture of you and a small picture of the print, and I was thinking like, not
Oh,
everybody has tired eyes like I do, but I was having trouble
no.
reading it.
So we can do content only? No
Yeah,
problem.
sure.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Let's do that. And go back to the presentation. Share. Okay.
I'm seeing, oh, there it goes, but it's not shared. It's now you want to click the display. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect. That's it. And
Eventually everything work out.
eventually everything works out.
Yes.
And I don't see anything in the chat yet from people. I can tell you that students on campus are definitely talking about this a lot. You
Hmm.
know, the Israelis in America get called baby killer just for walking down the street. I've had Free Palestine hurled at me just for looking like this.
I do want to point out that so between 2020 to 2023, I was working with Jewish Family Services in Clifton Passaic, and I was specifically working with the Orthodox community. And one of the things that I heard often, and more as the time passed, and this is before October 7th, was that my colleagues and my clients were encountering almost daily, definitely weekly incident of anti-Semitism, people spitting at them, um, yelling at them, pushing them, tossing their yarmulke off their head, and it's become almost like nobody was reporting to the police anymore. It's become the reality of the Orthodox Jews in the tri-state New York, North Jersey, day to day. And I hear a lot of this now that people who speak Hebrew or, wearing a Magen David, or before that it was wearing the hostages pin, that people face a lot of hostility. Students in campuses probably a lot more than others, but it's feel like a lot of things that we didn't see before become very, very present in our day-to-day now. And this is a lot of stressors. In terms of leadership, we see that our community is in a lot of stress and it's not going away. It seems only to increase. And we need to respond both to external events, things that happen like the war in Iran, local shooting that happening in our schools. And there is also internal emotional impact that each one of us carry with us because we are our own people. We are leaders, but also ourselves. And to guide others while managing our own response is an ongoing task or struggle or challenge that we all share. And trauma-informed leadership required to understanding how this extended exposure to threat and stress affecting us and our ability to support others. Self-awareness is so important to learn how to regulate ourselves, to learn how to create sense of stability, sense of control within ourselves and also within our communities, how we can best support our people, and creating structures that sustain not just the community, but also those who care for the caregivers, our leaders, our lay leaders. It can be head of families, but everyone who care for others, how we can support them. And this is where Planetherapy come to the picture. And I would like to invite Ilana to talk a little bit about what we are doing.
Thank you, Ruthie. Thank you. Thank you, Yaakov. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, everyone, for being here. We're really appreciating your presence, and we really feel it's important. I don't know, Ruthie, if you read, you can go through the messages some people wrote to you.
I see that now. Yes.
Yeah. So we will discuss everything in a minute, but I would like you to understand where Planetherapy is a story that came from a very personal place and very real, very okay, so I just say it like I'm an Israeli woman. I live abroad in Spain for over 20 years, almost 30. And in one of the phone calls straight after October 7th, where a girl was desperately in need of emotional support, and there was not enough emotional support. As I was speaking with her, my husband came behind me, and he doesn't speak Hebrew. And what happened is the girl started to express to him everything that she was feeling in English. And I looked at him and I looked at her and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm the therapist here. Why is she talking to my husband and telling him everything? And in such a good English, she managed to express her emotions. And I noticed he's also sweating a little bit. And at the end of the call, the first thing he said to me was, I get it now. And after 20 years that I explained, and I've seen the anti-Semitism since the late 90s, and I've been constantly advocating and speaking, I thought, now you're getting it? Okay, I'm going to bring all my colleagues, whether they're speaking English or non-English, Jewish, non-Jewish, we're all going to go and volunteer. I started to research where can we volunteer, and not only that there are so many people that they don't have enough of support, but there was no platform. There was nowhere to volunteer for somebody who's living abroad. And within 5 days, I thought with my friend, right, I'm going to do this. And I started to ask any person I know, can you please help me with the technology? And they're like, you're crazy, ma pitom, it's not going to work, you can't do it. And I thought, wait a minute, there's this friend of mine, Tal, that I met, and I know her best friend from many years has been kidnapped. I know her heart is there and I know what she's capable, and she's a great person, great therapist. I called her and she immediately said yes, because emotionally she was there. And we spoke, and I remember I was walking backwards and forward in a house and she's thinking, how are we going to do it? Who's going to speak English? Who's going to come? And I said, I don't know, let's just do it and we'll figure it out. So basically we just started and we're figuring it out, and we've changed 3 platforms, and within such a short time people started to send us emails from all over the world. And we were like, I mean, Tali's telling me my emails is going crazy, and it was very quick response and very strong togetherness. And I'm going to be honest with you, it helped me. It helped me to cope with my emotion of everything that's been going on, because I'm feeling like I'm doing something. And
I can share that back then, and we are talking about November, December of 2023. I remember seeing Ilana Sental post on Facebook recruiting a therapist to volunteer hours to support back Israelis and Jewish in Israel and around the world. And within weeks, they were able to have more than 100, now is more than 300 therapists just volunteering, stepping in to the plate to provide that support. And that is amazing.
thank you. I mean, that's the thing. As it started for Israel, the first response, and thinking, okay, this is how we're going to close this gap and we're going to build these bridges of light from outside. But very quickly, with advocacy, I saw what's going on in the universities in America and in England. And I thought, what's going on here? This is way bigger than every other war. So our mission is very, very simple, is providing accessible emotional support. This is what we do. And as a therapist background, myself and Tal, and with our own cognitive language, we figured out a way and we built a model to make it easy also for the patient who comes to the platform, but also for us to volunteer and the therapist. How do we do it? Very easy. So we created a model of 6 free accessible sessions for anyone who needs support. You don't need to prove or to say I have a PTSD or I have a depression. It's very simple. You just go in the afterwards you'll see in the platform and you just click the therapist you want. We have more than 200 therapists. They are licensed, and we have life coaches, and we have all different types of emotional support. Anyone can feel thank you. Anyone can feel what they or who they wish to speak with, if it's a woman, if it's a man, if it's in English, Russian, German, any language that they choose out of 22 different languages. Our volunteers, each one gives 2 hours. That's our model to make it easier for them, and it's sustainable because of that. It's 2 hours per week of volunteering. We also offer group supports. We offer resilience workshops. We offer group support for people like yourself, people that are helping other people or people that are leading other people. So if you go on the website, you can find group supports or one-on-one. What we offer for our volunteers is an ongoing supervision by 3 different supervisors, professional supervisors that we have. And that keeps it, when people ask me, well, what do your volunteers get? Well, one of the things they get is a supervision and a feel of a family and a community.
I do want to just to add on that we offer up to 6 free sessions, but if our clients cannot pay after the 6, so session 7 and up, usually we charge a very symbolic subsidized rate of 25 euros, $25. However, if they cannot pay, we find a way to make it work. We are not turn away anyone because of financial needs.
Also we are creating ishtalmuyot. How do you say ishtalmuyot? Workshops.
Workshop and trainings.
Besides, we've already given over 4,000 sessions. As I said, we have over 250 professional volunteers. We offer it in 22 different languages and sign language in the British system, but I hope it can help. We've given support to more than 700, and we've given more than 15 lectures and webinars. There's one other thing that we've done is a delegation, the first delegation with Taglit Birthright, where it was the first time that Taglit Birthright brought our volunteers whom are over the age of 50, and some of them are non-Jewish, and the impact. If I can explain to you that one of our volunteers went back to her work and she gave a lecture at her hospital in Madrid, a non-Jewish psychologist. It was absolutely fantastic, and this is another way of bringing it forward. The 2 clicks away, it's part of our model that to make it easy and simple with no complications. You enter the website, as you can see here, and you find there's a filter on the side. You can choose from the filter which one you would like to speak with. You choose your therapist, click twice, and go in their diary.
You can choose the language, the gender of the therapist. You can choose the modality. So if you're interested in traditional therapy, psychotherapy, so there is a drop-down menu. You will see psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. We also have art therapists, movement therapists, drama therapists, and we also have complete, I will say, added on like yoga, Reiki, coaching. So coaching, you can choose what is best fit your needs, or you can shoot us an email and say if this is too confusing and you're not sure what you need, to shoot us an email through our support.planetherapyglobal.org and say, this is me, this is what's going on for me. And then very quickly, we will match you with a viable therapist that will work best for you.
I would also one more thing add that there is support for children, there is support for adolescent and parenting and couples. We know there's a lot of strain on families, so we also give support for that. And we're always, as I said, we're always growing. If there's more ideas, we listen and we see what is the need, and then we will build towards it.
We bring in also a lot of tools into the communities. We are now in the last stage of developing training on the impact of anti-Semitism and how to deal with the emotional impact of that. And we offer that to professionals and also to our therapists. And we tailor different workshops to the needs of the community based on what we are being asked or what the need is. And this is actually the next question to you. What do you need? What do you see in your communities? What is missing from your resource list? And in what way organization like Planetherapy can better support you? And I will stop sharing for a second so we can look at the chat and everybody and sort of like responds to what we see. Okay. Article seems to have been deleted but saved. Okay. Okay, see there a little bit of debate, Jewish mental health, not how to treat Jewish mental health. I will say that generally speaking, Jewish mental health, what we know, data-based, is really increased stress, depression. There is a lot of issues around sense of belonging. There is identity crisis among young adults, especially in the non-religious communities. I think that there is a lot of questions around how to deal with this. We see a lot of code switching in response to anti-Semitism. Youth who will be very much Jewish or Israeli at home or amongst their Jewish peers. But if they are outside in the campus and hear someone saying inappropriate joke or something, Free Palestine or so and so, they will not comfort them. They will not present as Jewish or Zionist or related. There is a lot of moral injury from this conflict of values that not only young adults experience. There is a lot of people, I experience in my community, people afraid to share or hesitated to share how they really feel. because there is so many opinion even within the Jewish and the Israeli American community around that related to left-wing, right-wing, religious, secular, and you are not always feel that your way of grieving and that your pain is belong with your community. And it's scary sometimes to say, I'm thinking this and this and feel this and this, and then feel isolated by your community because what you feel is not matching the general tone. And I will let Yaakov, I see that you raising your hand. So
Well,
please.
did you say specifically you see in the non-religious community that there's a bigger problem?
I think that my experience, the Jewish community is a little bit more protected and more closed. The kids are within the Jewish school system, high school, yeshivas, seminar, the exposure to people who thinking different from you or that are non-Jewish is a little smaller, and the Jewish identity is stronger. I know that I've been lucky me since October 7, I found myself working within Jewish organization. My experience going to work was very different than my husband, who were working in the tech industry and in non-Jewish organization, and what he was exposed to and experienced since October 7 is different than my experience. I've been working in a greenhouse in a way because within my peers. And so, yes, I think that for youth and young adult in the secular world, they facing a lot of confusing messaging, and also a lot of what they are hearing really could make them question their values about humanity and who's right, who's wrong, how it all started. And we are not doing, and when I'm saying we, I'm not saying just secular. I'm thinking this is right for both the Jewish communities. Honestly, this is, I stand correct. This is across the globe, across the community. We are not doing a very good job in holding complicity as a community in a way that allowed different opinion to be heard while still maintaining sense of community. There is a beautiful Jewish saying that I really love that say, you don't have to see eye to eye to walk hand by hand or side by side. And I think we are, generally speaking, we are not doing such a good job on sustaining this and maintaining this and creating environments that allowing this different opinion, but one group of belonging, which is the Jewish people, so to speak.
I mean, I will say that the one thing the religious community has is, we get used to this because you look in the Passover Haggadah and it says, in every generation, the genocidal are going to want to go after the Jews. And it has to do with us being Jews. So it's not a reason to reduce our Jewish identity. It's a reason to strengthen our Jewish identity. The third time I had Free Palestine hurled at me, it was by an activist for Code Pink, which is a very anti-Israel organization run by a Jew. I will say the video is still available online. It did not go well for her. To put it mildly, because she was dealing with somebody who had no problem saying, hey, you found a new pretense to hate Jews. Congratulations. And this is very much what's going on. The community needs to realize that we are hated for our moral genius. The IDF is literally the most moral fighting force in the world. There is no other fighting force that routinely calls and determines from home front command that building is now empty of civilians before they bomb it. They taught the Americans how to drop dud bombs, to do a knock-knock, to make sure that civilians left the building. sacrificing surprise to make sure that there was no collateral damage. That's, again, it's they hate the Jews for their moral genius. It's not because we're
I
doing
would
something wrong. We're hated for what we're doing right. And that's, and I think that that's something that I hope that you can use in strengthening people, because it's obviously something that people don't realize.
Mm.
I would
There
like
is
I'm sorry. No, I would like to say something that when what we are doing here is strengthening every one of us. And the moment we're strong inside of us, it becomes much easier to deal with whatever it is that goes on the outside. Number one. And then once you understand that first you have to work within, not because you're going to change them, but when you're strong and you understand who you are and remember who you are, then it's much easier to cope. It automatically makes them smaller. And I give you a small example where if I would say before when I did advocacy and I would feel my heart, you feel it in your body. Emotions are felt in our body. Where do we feel it? I felt my heart would beat and I felt shaking. I don't feel it now anymore. I know who I am. I don't feel it. Now I look at it as if this happens, I must have something really, really special. And that's why it's happening. I know it's annoying, but it's part of our job. And we're not here to sit on the sofa, leg on leg. We have a job to do. And we've got to remember what our job is as being Jewish. And that's what we're here, not to remind you your job, but to remind you who you are. So if anyone who leads and feel a little bit depressed or a little bit low, we're here, even if it's one call. Sometimes it takes just one conversation. And you're like, okay, I remember, I can breathe now. And now I can go on and lead others to do the same. So,
We do
yeah.
know that there is a lot of stigma around mental health. And I know that, and sometimes it's even just the thought that, well, I'm okay. I wasn't in Israel on October 7. Nothing bad really happened to me that make us feel like we should not be the one who's seeking help. Everything is okay with us. How dare I am to think that to seek help when others are suffering so much more than I am. And at the same time, and what Planetherapy offer is really the opportunity to reach out to someone who understands and who can let you know that you're not alone, to validate the feeling and to create an immediate human connection. And we know that nothing is healing communities and people more than this valuable, authentic, compassionate connection. And this is, well, the answer for all pretty much. But yes, to hate too. You can't fight darkness without light. And this is what Planetherapy bring to the world through the therapist, these many, many dots of light that's what we're trying to do, to spread it amongst the people.
We're going to take a 1 moment break and we're going to get to all your questions. We're going to try and we have a lot of questions, so we're going to try and get to all of them. Rabbi Menken has a few words about what we're doing here at the Coalition for Jewish Values.
Well, yeah, I just want to say, first of all, thank you everybody for coming. And of course, thank you, Ruthie and Ilana, for this excellent presentation about the important work that you are doing. And I really like what Ilana just said, by the way, about strengthening your own internal identity and being strong on the inside. Because once you are strong on the inside, it's a whole different world, whatever you're confronted with from others. And it's an area where there's obviously so much work to be done. Coalition for Jewish Values is about speaking boldly, is about putting our voice out there, about speaking up for authentic Jewish values. And, if the folks at Code Pink don't like it, then we just have to be louder. That's the answer. It's like we don't have any desire to shrink from that sort of controversy, being safe at all times, but obviously standing up for what is right and being a ally with those who are seeking our best interests and what is obviously in the interest of moving the country forward. We cannot do this without community support, so we really appreciate. I know that many of the people here have already supported us at various times in the past, or may even be current donors. I want to encourage those who have not to please do hop on the train. Reach out to Mark or myself and office at cjvalues.org and just join the ranks. We would look forward to hearing from you and to having your support as we move this forward and be louder and put on webinars like this one.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions here, so we're going to try and get through all of them before 3 o'clock. I'm going to read them off. The first question is very good, and it actually, I think everyone I know feels the same way about this first question. I feel more vulnerable when I go to services and carry a firearm. And I've also noticed that the average non-Jewish person feels free to express anti-Semitism when they don't know that I'm Jewish. So the question would be, what do we do to not feel so vulnerable other than carry a weapon?
So first of all, like I said, number one, it's the emotion, how you feel inside. So imagine if you're on a surfboard on the ocean and it's a rough ocean, what would you do? How would you deal with it? So yes, we are at the time where we have to be a bit more observant of what's going on, and we have to adjust our behavior. When do we speak and when we move back from it, because it's not worth it. The firearm in America, I know it's very different from Europe. There's no such thing, so I can't carry anything, but I do carry a chain with me. I do what I do, and I speak where I feel that I can speak and stand up, and I just move away where it's not worth it. But number one importance is how you feel inside, and that's what we're here for, to make you not have these heartbeats, the shaking in the body. I don't want you to feel that, and for that we're here. So it's very important to pay attention when you speak about emotions. Think of your body. If it goes through your body, that means there's a need to help and to speak up about it and be stronger. There are lots of bodies out there in America that help, but yeah, Ruthie.
I want to add, so I can, right after October 7, I put a sign outside of my house that say, "We stand with Israel." And a lot of my friends, Jewish friends in the community, did the opposite. Not only they didn't put on a sign, "I stand with Israel," they removed the mezuzah from their doorstep because they were afraid of what will happen. We live in very, very, very close, like 5 minutes away from Patterson, which has the second largest Palestinian community in the United States. And one of the things that I said to my kids, I'm saying to my community, is a sentence that I'm saying to my clients as well. Feelings are not facts. If you walking around and you look in the reality, yes, there is absolute objective rise of anti-Semitism incident. However, how often did you yourself encounter that out of the blue, just walking in the street, someone attack you? Most of the attacks, if that happened, how much of that attacks was violent in a way that only a rifle could have helped you. So first, when we are talking about sense of safety, there is people who are carrying a rifle and are not feeling safer, and not necessarily safer because of that. I grew up in Israel. Israel, when I grew up, was, You went on a bus, you may or may not blow up on the way there. My sense of safety back then and to that day didn't come from carrying around a gun or a rifle. It came from knowing my surrounding, knowing what I can do, accepting what I cannot control, and at the same time, knowing how to avoid or, like Ilana said, when to speak and when to avoid confrontation. One of the things that we are not doing enough, I think, is giving people the tools how to handle confrontation and how to avoid confrontation if needed be without feeling bad about doing this. And this is something we need to practice in. Because I'm just being mindful of the time, I will stop here and we will see if there is more questions or.
Yeah, here's a good question about are a lot of people leaving and going to Israel because they don't want to hide their Jewishness anymore and they don't want to be fearful anymore?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, I can share with you that after October 7, I felt safer in Israel than I felt here. I keep saying, well, in Israel, at least I know who my enemies are. Here, I don't know what my neighbors feel. But when I share that with my friends in Israel, they're like, are you crazy? I mean, nobody still is throwing rockets on you. No, I mean, in Israel, there is other scary things. The world is full of scary things. Being Jewish today is scary. It may be easier to be Jewish in Israel, but we cannot hide there. Israel needs us also in the diaspora. We have a rule here as well. And if we can't ignore that, we need to be here because we are the voice of Israel. Nobody can tell the story of Israel better than us outside of Israel. And we do have responsibility and commitment to our people, not just in Israel. This is my opinion.
I like to give a metaphor for it. If you imagine a house and you take all the light and put it in one room in the house, what do you think will happen to the rest of the house?
Mm-hmm. Let's see what here. We have a couple of compliments for you too.
I like compliments.
Yeah, they're very, very nice. So you'll have to, when we're done, you could read through them
Can we
because
print them?
they're fantastic. So I have a question that's not on here. Have you found that there are many people, especially younger people now, are becoming closer to their Judaism and not hiding it? It's
Yes,
actually having the opposite effect, I think, to many young people
yes.
and
I
old people like myself.
I find many, and I find from my own cousins in England that they were never raised close to Judaism, and I feel it very strong. I also found people that are scared and they moved away in a sense to thinking it will protect them, which is we know from history it doesn't work like that. Um, but I find more getting closer, and I do find more that are getting closer to us that are non-Jewish. A woman actually sent me a message. I want to tell you secretly, I want to become Jewish. And so something is happening. I know it's horrific what's happening, but I always believe it's for something good. So keep trusting that process and just like I said, write it off, and we have to think and be smart how we go through this and together.
I agree
Um,
with Ilana.
Go
I
ahead.
also see the same. Yeah.
Somebody has it. This is probably the best question of all of them. Are you recruiting more volunteers? If so, what kind of professions do you need the most?
Yes, we do. We're expanding the need is only growing more and more. We see more people calling us as the war continuing and the anti-Semitism continue to rise. So yes, we are recruiting more across the globe. If you go to our website, there is 2 clicks. One say, if you want to make an appointment, and the other one is join us, and you can fill it out. Any kind of mental health support. If you want to help, we want you. Now, our clinician are either certified licensed clinician or certified practitioner. So if you have any kind of, you do need to be either certified or licensed in order to join our network. But we also seeking for support and help in terms of the operation and the infrastructure of the platform. So if you want to help, we want to have you.
Here's an interesting comment. I think it deserves a response. It says, Israel needs you more than the diaspora.
I can answer to that question. I'm not sure. I will say I respectfully disagree. And it took me, I'm living in New Jersey for 25 years. I left Israel 2 weeks after I finished my army service. And I can say that for many, many years, I was struggling with living abroad. But what happened after October 7th showed me that Israel cannot exist without a strong support of the diaspora, without a strong lobby in America. This is question of the money and the financial and security support that the state of Israel receiving. And without us advocating for Israel, we won't have it. And nobody will do that but us. There is a saying saying, nobody's coming, nobody's coming. Im ena nili mili. We are the ones. And some of us need to do the work here and go visit to Israel every now and then, every time we want. But not everybody can live there, unfortunately.
I find this to be an interesting comment and question as well. Shouldn't Jewish organizations and influential individuals be spending their time and resources teaching Jews about Judaism and the miracle of Israel instead of spending millions compiling studies about anti-Semitism and the Holocaust studies curriculum? Proof Jew hatred has increased exponentially during the last 100 years. And there maybe is a better way than just talking about anti-Semitism, and I'm going to paraphrase, to just being better Jews.
I agree. I think that that activism is really important, but I think that it cannot be the only thing. We are small in numbers and we are losing in the number game. But if we will put as much efforts into strengthening the Jewish community, the Jewish identity, and having people walking around proud and strong in their Jewish identity, carry their Jewish values of ואהבת לרעך כמוך, of chesed, of tikkun olam, that is as important as fighting anti-Semitism through activism. But a lot of people disagree with me.
No, I would totally agree with you, and I want to add something, which I think that the question is excellent from Barbie, and I wanted to point out that a lot of the education about things like Holocaust remembrance is from people doing it wrong. The ADL took until 2021 to recognize the left had an anti-Semitism problem, when it was certainly, if it wasn't obvious from what was going on campus, it was obvious from the moment the squad got elected to Congress that the left had a very serious anti-Semitism problem. And the ADL, at least under its current leadership, is too partisan to admit that. And that was a big problem. Holocaust remembrance is also the idea that the Holocaust is some bizarre aberration that, it never happened before, it'll never happen since. What are you talking about? Go back to the book of Esther. Do you know what Haman plotted to do? Haman was exactly what Hitler did. You know what Pharaoh plotted to do? Exactly what Hitler wanted to do. And for that matter, the Romans, the destruction of the Second Temple, the suppression of the Bar Kokhba revolt, the things that the Jewish people have gone through, and 1,000 years of Jewish history in Europe do not treat the Holocaust as some sort of unique aberration that never happened before. This is barbarians hate Jews. Hitler was very proud to admit it. He said the Jews inflicted circumcision on the body and a conscience on the soul. He couldn't handle that Jews say to the world, you have to have a conscience. You have to think about what is moral, what is good and evil. So now they demonize us for that. Congratulations, guys. Thank you for waking up to the idea that morality is actually a good thing. We were teaching that when your parents were teaching whose spear is bigger determines who is morally right. So we have this in hand, and yet so much of the effort that's been done about teaching anti-Semitism and teaching the Holocaust is from people who were doing it wrong. When you do it from a place of strengthening what comes inside, like Ilana said, like what Ruthie said, like what the Haggadah tells us, you come out with an entirely different curriculum, even in understanding anti-Semitism, where it's about, we're way bigger than these people are. And by the way, we are going to still be around when they are in the dustbin of history. What happened thanks to the Holocaust is that Germany will never be respected again. It used to be the pinnacle of the academic world, and professors revealed that they are just as immoral as anybody else. And so, as an Ivy League graduate myself, I point out the Ivy League is putting itself in exactly the same place, heading in exactly the same direction by putting bigotry into the curriculum on their campuses and replacing genuine study of archaeology, anthropology, religion, linguistics, and history and religion with anti-Semitic bigotry. That's them doing it to themselves, and we will be around after they are gone.
Well, it is 3 o'clock. So does anybody have any closing statements?
Between us, or
No,
Yes,
I did my rant already.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, that was
Ilana
great.
and Ruthie, go
I
ahead.
like Dr. Phil always says, like, it's not about just teaching it differently, but also teaching it in the sense of, if we understand that people do something because they think they can. And I remember he explained that. So something in society needs to understand you can't do that. You cannot do that. This is not acceptable. And so that teaching also needs to be input everywhere. This is not acceptable. We have to stop this, and we need to be strong and say no more.
And I want to add one line. We are talking about the Jewish history and kamu aleinu lechalutenu, and we speak a lot about the trauma. But it's not only trauma that shape our DNA, but also resilience. The Jewish resilience is a fact. And we're here to stay, and this too shall pass. And in order to do that, we are stronger together, and we are stronger when we are reaching to each other and holding each other pain and happiness. And I thank you all for giving us the opportunity to take part of this today.
No, we're honored to have you here, and thank you very much. It was very interesting, and I'm sure it was very helpful to many people. And maybe we'll get you a few volunteers.
Mhm.
And if you ever
Thank you.
think that you would like to have any resilient talks in your own communities, we will use our volunteers to give it to you. So
Mhm.
it would be a blessing for us to do it for you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you for being with us.
שבוע טוב.
שבוע טוב.
Thank you.